Let's look at Iran's Project 2025 before the 1979 revolution. The Project 2025 initiative was a visionary modernization effort spearheaded by Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, the last Shah of Iran, aimed at propelling Iran into the ranks of the world's top industrial powers by the year 2025. Launched before the Iranian Revolution of 1979, this ambitious undertaking sought to transform Iran's economy and society through extensive investments in infrastructure, education, healthcare, and industry. The project envisioned a modern, secular Iran, less reliant on oil exports and more self-sufficient in diverse economic sectors. Key objectives included agricultural modernization, industrial expansion, human capital development, and technological advancement. However, the project faced criticism for exacerbating socio-economic disparities and for the authoritarian methods employed by the Shah's regime. The significance of Project 2025 in Iranian history lies in its representation of a pivotal moment in the country's modernization journey. Initiated under the leadership of Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, the project reflected ambitious aspirations to transform Iran into a modern, industrialized nation. Its goals, strategies, and eventual fate encapsulate broader themes of socio-economic development, political dynamics, and the tensions between tradition and modernity in Iran. The rise and fall of Project 2025 underscore the complexities of nation-building efforts and serve as a critical chapter in understanding Iran's trajectory in the 20th century. The purpose of this expanded exploration is to provide a comprehensive and nuanced understanding of Project 2025 in Iran before the 1979 revolution. By delving into historical context, socioeconomic conditions, implementation strategies, challenges, and impact, this in-depth analysis aims to illuminate the significance of Project 2025 in shaping Iran's trajectory. Through detailed examination, it seeks to uncover the complexities, achievements, and shortcomings of this ambitious modernization initiative, offering insights into broader themes of development, governance, and societal change. Pre-20th century Iran witnessed the Qajar era, a pivotal period marked by significant political, social, and economic developments. The Qajar dynasty, which ruled from the late 18th century to the early 20th century, faced the challenges of declining central authority, territorial losses, and foreign encroachment. Amidst these challenges, attempts at modernization were initiated, influenced by interactions with the West and the spread of ideas from the Enlightenment. Under the reign of Shah Abbas Roman II 1642–1666, Iran experienced a period of relative stability and territorial expansion, leading to economic prosperity and cultural flourishing. However, subsequent rulers faced internal strife and external pressures, weakening the empire. During the Qajar era, efforts at modernization were sporadic and often met with resistance from traditionalist elements within Iranian society. Reforms, such as the establishment of modern educational institutions and administrative structures, were implemented to varying degrees of success. However, these initiatives were often overshadowed by political instability, economic stagnation, and social unrest. In the early 20th century, Iran underwent transformative changes under the rule of Reza Shah Pahlavi, who ascended to power in 1925. His reign marked a significant departure from the Qajar era, characterized by efforts to modernize and centralize the Iranian state. Reza Shah implemented sweeping reforms aimed at modernizing the economy, military, and society. One of the most notable initiatives was the promotion of industrialization to reduce Iran's reliance on agricultural exports. Reza Shah established state-owned enterprises and attracted foreign investment to develop key industries such as textiles, mining, and manufacturing. Infrastructure projects, including the construction of roads, railways, and communication networks, facilitated economic development and integration. Reza Shah's industrialization efforts laid the foundation for Iran's future modernization endeavors, setting the stage for subsequent initiatives such as Project 2025. However, his authoritarian rule and policies of rapid modernization also generated social tensions and opposition. foreshadowing challenges that would emerge in later periods of Iranian history. Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi's ascension to power occurred in 1941 after the abdication of his father, Reza Shah Pahlavi, amid pressure from British and Soviet forces during World War II. Mohammad Reza Shah inherited a country grappling with socio-economic challenges and a desire for modernization. In the early years of his reign, Mohammad Reza Shah pursued policies aimed at consolidating his power and modernizing Iran's institutions. However, it was during the 1960s that his most ambitious reform program, known as the White Revolution, was launched. This series of far-reaching reforms, announced in 1963, aimed to transform Iran's socio-economic landscape through land reforms, women's rights initiatives, educational reforms, and rural development programs. The White Revolution sought to address long-standing grievances and modernize Iran's agrarian economy, which was characterized by feudal landholding patterns and widespread poverty. Land reforms aimed to redistribute land from large landowners to peasants, while literacy campaigns and educational initiatives aimed to empower Iran's population and build human capital. While the White Revolution achieved some successes, such as increased literacy rates and improvements in infrastructure, it also faced opposition from conservative elements within Iranian society, particularly among religious leaders and landowning elites. Nonetheless, the White Revolution represented a pivotal moment in Iran's modern history, laying the groundwork for subsequent modernization efforts, including Project 2025. Before Project 2025, Iran faced a complex array of socio-economic challenges. While the country had experienced periods of economic growth, it remained heavily reliant on oil revenues, which led to vulnerabilities to global oil price fluctuations. Additionally, socio-economic disparities were pronounced, with rural areas lagging behind urban centers in terms of infrastructure, education, and access to basic services. Political authoritarianism and limited avenues for social mobility further exacerbated these inequalities. Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, the last Shah of Iran, was a figure of both ambition and controversy, shaping Iran's trajectory through his vision and leadership style. Born in 1919, Mohammad Reza ascended to the throne in 1941 at a time of great uncertainty for Iran. His reign was marked by a fervent desire to modernize and industrialize Iran, transforming it into a regional powerhouse and a beacon of progress in the Middle East. The Shah's vision for Iran was deeply influenced by his perception of the country's historical and geopolitical significance. He saw Iran as a bridge between East and West, with the potential to assert itself as a modern, secular nation in the heart of the Muslim world. This vision was articulated through slogans such as the Great Civilization and New Iran, emphasizing the Shah's ambition to propel Iran into the ranks of developed nations. As a leader, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi was characterized by a combination of autocratic tendencies and a genuine desire for progress. He centralized power in his own hands, dismantling traditional power structures and establishing a highly centralized state apparatus. This authoritarian approach was driven by the belief that strong leadership was necessary to overcome the obstacles to modernization and development. At the same time, the Shah demonstrated a pragmatism and willingness to adapt his policies in response to changing circumstances. He surrounded himself with technocrats and advisors who shared his vision for modernization, implementing a series of ambitious reform programs aimed at reshaping Iran's economy, society, and institutions. One of the most significant expressions of the Shah's vision and leadership was the White Revolution, a series of reforms launched in 1963. The White Revolution aimed to modernize Iran's agrarian economy, empower its population through education and land reforms, and transform Iran into a secular, progressive state, despite facing opposition from conservative elements within Iranian society. The White Revolution achieved significant successes, including increased literacy rates, improvements in healthcare, and the expansion of infrastructure. However, the Shah's leadership was not without its flaws and controversies. His authoritarian style of governance led to widespread political repression and human rights abuses, fueling resentment among various segments of Iranian society. The Shah's close alignment with Western powers, particularly the United States, also contributed to growing anti-Western sentiment and perceptions of Iran as a pawn of foreign interests. Ultimately, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi's vision and leadership left a complex and contested legacy in Iran's history. While he succeeded in modernizing certain aspects of Iranian society and economy, his authoritarian rule and close ties to foreign powers ultimately contributed to his downfall during the Iranian Revolution of 1979. Project 2025 represented a bold and ambitious vision for Iran's future, articulated by Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi as a roadmap to propel the country into the ranks of the world's top industrial powers by the year 2025. Conceptualized as a comprehensive modernization initiative, the project aimed to address long-standing socio-economic challenges and transform Iran into a modern, progressive nation. At its core, Project 2025 sought to diversify Iran's economy and reduce its reliance on oil exports, which had historically been the mainstay of the country's economy. The project envisioned a more balanced economic landscape, with increased emphasis on manufacturing, agriculture, technology, and other sectors. By fostering economic diversification, Project 2025 aimed to enhance Iran's resilience to external shocks, such as fluctuations in global oil prices, and stimulate sustainable long-term growth. Key objectives of Project 2025 included promoting industrialization and technological advancement, enhancing human capital through education and skills development, improving infrastructure and transportation networks, and fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. These objectives were guided by the overarching goal of creating a modern, self-sufficient Iran capable of competing on the global stage. Industrialization was a central pillar of Project 2025, with the Shah envisioning Iran as a regional hub for manufacturing and production. The project aimed to attract foreign investment and expertise to develop key industries such as automotive manufacturing, petrochemicals, steel production, and electronics. Special economic zones were established to incentivize investment and facilitate the growth of export-oriented industries. In addition to industrial development, Project 2025 placed a strong emphasis on human capital development and education. The Shah recognized the importance of investing in Iran's youth and equipping them with the skills and knowledge needed to thrive in a modern economy. As such, the project included initiatives to expand access to education, improve the quality of schooling, and promote vocational training and technical education. Infrastructure development was another key component of Project 2025, with significant investments made in transportation, telecommunications, energy, and urban development. Major infrastructure projects were undertaken to connect remote regions with urban centers, improve access to basic services, and modernize Iran's infrastructure networks. Innovation and entrepreneurship were also emphasized as drivers of economic growth and competitiveness under Project 2025. The Shah recognized the importance of fostering a culture of innovation and supporting entrepreneurs and small businesses. Policies were implemented to encourage research and development, facilitate technology transfer, and provide support for startups and innovation hubs. Overall, Project 2025 represented a comprehensive and forward-thinking vision for Iran's future, encompassing economic, social, and technological dimensions. While the project faced challenges and criticisms, its ambitious goals and aspirations reflected the Shah's determination to modernize Iran and position it as a leading player on the global stage. Implementation strategies were crucial to realizing the ambitious goals of Project 2025 in Iran. Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi's vision for modernization required careful planning, coordination, and execution across various sectors of the economy and society. To translate this vision into tangible outcomes, the Shah's regime employed a range of strategies, including policy reforms, institutional restructuring, investment promotion, and international partnerships. Policy reforms. the Shah's government enacted a series of policy reforms to create an enabling environment for economic growth and development. These reforms included liberalization measures to attract foreign investment, deregulation to stimulate entrepreneurship, and trade liberalization to facilitate international trade. Additionally, the government implemented legal and regulatory reforms to protect property rights, enhance contract enforcement, and promote transparency and accountability. Institutional restructuring. Project 2025 required the restructuring and strengthening of existing institutions and the creation of new ones to oversee and coordinate modernization efforts. Specialized agencies and task forces were established to oversee key sectors targeted for development, such as industry, agriculture, education, and healthcare. These institutions were tasked with formulating policies, implementing programs, and monitoring progress towards project objectives. Investment promotion. To finance the ambitious infrastructure and industrial projects envisioned under Project 2025, the Shah's regime actively promoted investment, both domestic and foreign. Incentives such as tax breaks, subsidies, and preferential treatment were offered to attract investors and stimulate capital inflows. Special economic zones were established to create favorable conditions for investment, providing infrastructure, utilities, and regulatory support to businesses operating within designated areas. International partnerships. Recognizing the importance of international cooperation and collaboration in achieving its development goals, the Shah's regime sought to forge strategic partnerships with foreign governments, multinational corporations, and international organizations. These partnerships encompassed various areas such as technology transfer, knowledge exchange, investment promotion, and trade facilitation. Bilateral and multilateral agreements were signed to promote economic cooperation and facilitate the transfer of expertise and technology. Public-private partnerships (PPPs). The Shah's government promoted public-private partnerships (PPPs) as a means of leveraging private sector resources and expertise to finance and implement infrastructure projects. PPPs allowed for the sharing of risks and responsibilities between the government and private investors, enabling the efficient delivery of public services and infrastructure. The government provided regulatory support and incentives to encourage private sector participation in key sectors such as transportation, energy, and telecommunications. Industrialization and economic growth were central pillars of Project 2025 in Iran, reflecting Mohammad Reza Pahlavi's vision of transforming the country into a modern, industrial powerhouse. The Shah's regime implemented a range of policies and initiatives to promote industrial development and stimulate economic growth, with a focus on diversifying Iran's economy away from its dependence on oil exports. One of the key sectors targeted for development was manufacturing, which saw significant growth under Project 2025. The government established state-owned enterprises and provided incentives to attract foreign investment in industries such as automotive manufacturing, petrochemicals, steel production, and electronics. As a result, Iran's manufacturing sector expanded rapidly, contributing to job creation, technology transfer, and the development of domestic industries. For example, Iran's automotive industry experienced considerable growth during this period, with the establishment of major manufacturing plants by leading international automakers such as Peugeot, Renault, and Mercedes-Benz. By the 1970s, Iran had become the largest producer of automobiles in the Middle East, with domestic production exceeding 200,000 vehicles per year. In addition to manufacturing, Project 2025 also focused on developing Iran's energy sector to support industrial growth and meet the country's growing energy needs. The government invested heavily in the development of oil and gas infrastructure, including refineries, pipelines, and petrochemical complexes. These investments helped to increase Iran's oil production capacity and expand its petrochemical industry, making it one of the leading producers of petrochemicals in the region. Furthermore, Project 2025 aimed to enhance Iran's competitiveness in international trade by promoting export-oriented industries and reducing barriers to trade. The government implemented trade liberalization policies, negotiated free trade agreements, and established export processing zones to attract foreign investment and facilitate exports. These efforts helped to diversify Iran's export base and reduce its reliance on oil revenues, contributing to greater economic stability and resilience. The ambitious modernization efforts under Project 2025 in Iran had profound social impacts and catalyzed significant cultural changes throughout the country. These changes, while reflecting the Shah's vision of a modern, secular society, also sparked societal tensions and resistance from traditionalist elements. One of the most notable social impacts of Project 2025 was urbanization, as rural populations migrated to cities in search of employment opportunities in the expanding industrial and service sectors. This rapid urbanization led to the proliferation of urban centers and the growth of metropolitan areas, transforming the demographic landscape of Iran. For example, Tehran, the capital city, experienced explosive population growth, becoming one of the largest cities in the Middle East by the 1970s. Education was another area deeply impacted by Project 2025, with the government investing heavily in expanding access to schooling and promoting literacy. Educational reforms aim to modernize the curriculum, improve the quality of instruction, and increase enrollment rates, particularly among girls and rural populations. As a result, literacy rates in Iran rose dramatically, with significant gains achieved in both male and female literacy rates. Women's rights also underwent significant changes under Project 2025, with the government implementing reforms aimed at increasing gender equality and expanding women's participation in public life. For example, women gained access to education, employment opportunities, and political participation, with the establishment of women's organizations and the appointment of female government officials. Culturally, Project 2025 ushered in a period of rapid modernization and westernization, as Iran embraced Western fashion, music, cinema, and lifestyle trends. Western cultural influences permeated Iranian society, leading to the emergence of a cosmopolitan urban elite that embraced Western values and norms. However, this cultural transformation also generated backlash from traditionalist elements, particularly religious conservatives, who viewed Westernization as a threat to Iran's Islamic identity and cultural heritage. The political dynamics surrounding Project 2025 in Iran were characterized by a complex interplay of authoritarian rule, opposition movements, and societal tensions. Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi's regime, while presenting itself as a modernizing force, faced significant opposition from various quarters of Iranian society. One of the primary sources of opposition to the Shah's regime came from religious conservatives, particularly the clergy, who viewed the rapid modernization and westernization efforts under Project 2025 as a threat to Iran's Islamic identity and cultural heritage. Religious leaders, including Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, condemned the Shah's regime as corrupt, oppressive, and beholden to foreign interests, rallying support among the masses through sermons, speeches, and religious teachings. Intellectuals, students, and left-wing political groups also emerged as vocal critics of the Shah's regime, denouncing its authoritarianism, human rights abuses, and economic disparities. Student protests, labor strikes, and underground publications became increasingly common as dissent spread across university campuses and urban centers. The Shah's regime responded to political opposition with repression and censorship, employing tactics such as arrests, torture, and censorship to suppress dissent and maintain control. Political parties were banned, opposition leaders were imprisoned or forced into exile, and civil liberties were curtailed in the name of national security. However, despite efforts to quell dissent, opposition to the Shah's regime continued to grow in the lead-up to the Iranian Revolution of 1979. The revolution, fueled by a diverse coalition of groups united in their opposition to the Shah's regime, ultimately succeeded in overthrowing the monarchy and establishing an Islamic republic. Project 2025 in Iran faced numerous challenges and setbacks throughout its implementation. which hindered the realization of its ambitious goals and contributed to growing discontent within Iranian society. One of the major challenges was the volatility of global oil prices, upon which Iran's economy heavily relied. Fluctuations in oil prices, exacerbated by geopolitical tensions and market dynamics, posed significant challenges to Iran's economic stability and fiscal planning. For example, the oil price shocks of the 1970s, including the 1973 oil crisis and the Iranian Revolution of 1979, severely disrupted Iran's economy, leading to economic recession and political instability. Another challenge was the socio-economic disparities and regional inequalities that persisted despite efforts at modernization. While urban centers experienced rapid growth and development under Project 2025, rural areas and marginalized communities lagged behind, lacking access to basic services, infrastructure, and economic opportunities. This disparity fueled resentment and social unrest, particularly among rural populations and ethnic minorities. Furthermore, Project 2025 faced opposition from various quarters of Iranian society, including religious conservatives, intellectuals, students, and left-wing political groups. Criticisms of the Shah's regime centered on its authoritarianism, corruption, human rights abuses, and perceived subservience to Western interests. Opposition movements gained momentum throughout the 1970s and, culminating in widespread protests and strikes in the lead-up to the Iranian Revolution of 1979. The Shah's authoritarian response to political opposition, including repression, censorship, and the suppression of civil liberties, further exacerbated tensions and fueled resentment among Iranians. The regime's heavy-handed tactics alienated large segments of the population and undermined its legitimacy, paving the way for the revolutionary upheaval that ultimately led to the downfall of the monarchy. In addition to internal challenges, Project 2025 also faced external pressures and geopolitical tensions, including Iran's strained relations with neighboring countries, the United States, and other global powers. These external factors further complicated Iran's modernization efforts and contributed to the political instability and uncertainty that characterized the final years of the Shah's regime. The legacy of Project 2025 in Iran is multifaceted, reflecting both its achievements and shortcomings, and offering important lessons for understanding the complexities of modernization and development. On one hand, Project 2025 represented a bold and ambitious vision for Iran's future, reflecting Mohammad Reza Pahlavi's determination to transform the country into a modern, industrialized nation. The project led to significant advancements in areas such as education, healthcare, infrastructure, and industrialization, laying the groundwork for Iran's economic and social development. However, the legacy of Project 2025 is also marked by its failure to address underlying socioeconomic disparities, political repression, and cultural tensions, which ultimately fueled the forces of opposition that led to the downfall of the Shah's regime. The project's authoritarian implementation and close alignment with Western interests alienated large segments of Iranian society, contributing to growing discontent and resentment. In conclusion, the exploration of Project 2025 in Iran before the 1979 revolution reveals a complex and multifaceted chapter in the country's history. The project, spearheaded by Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, aimed to propel Iran into the ranks of industrialized nations through ambitious economic, social, and cultural reforms. While Project 2025 achieved significant advancements in areas such as education, healthcare, and industrialization, its authoritarian implementation and failure to address underlying socioeconomic disparities and political grievances ultimately led to widespread discontent and opposition. The legacy of Project 2025 serves as a reminder of the complexities of modernization efforts and the importance of balancing economic development with political freedom, social justice, and cultural identity. The project's ultimate failure contributed to the Iranian Revolution of 1979, which reshaped the course of Iran's history and continues to impact the country and the region to this day. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel for more.